Hello, my friends, Ellen here. And if you are new here, welcome. And if you are not, welcome back. I am a burnout and stress management coach. And here on this channel, I feel like I talk about all the things. Like we talk about productivity, we talk about Notion because I am a Notion nerd, as are so many other people here on YouTube. We talk about goal setting, we talk about routines. And then every time I pop in and talk about burnout and stress management, obviously that's very near and dear to my heart because that's what I do. To plug my mic in until just then, so if the audio suddenly got a lot better, that would be why. In this video, what I really wanted to talk about was I want to talk about routines, because it is definitely that time of year when so many of us are thinking about changes and resolutions and goals that we might have that probably have a lot to do with our routines and our habits and our behaviors. Whether you're wanting to lose weight or stress less or be more mindful, there are things that we might do to our routines to help with those things. And in my experience, the routines that you have in your life are going to either make or break those intentions that you have. And that is something I believe wholeheartedly. I feel like we've all probably heard those quotes that say something along the lines of like, routine is the death of like insert word here. Like routine is the death of passion. Routine is the death of spontaneity, blah, blah, blah. But I think we're kidding ourselves to think that we are not impacted by our routines, that we don't have routines, because having routines is human nature. So we 1,000% have routines, no matter who you are, and they're potentially making a big impact on your life. But what routines do we need? I think that's the big question here. Like, you could honestly end up in a YouTube rabbit hole on this, which is something I've been doing a lot lately. Also, side note, isn't it weird that the social media that you tend to gravitate toward is the one that you also might enjoy making content for the most? I don't know if you experience that. I have been loving YouTube recently. I have been somebody who's been on Instagram a lot before, but I love YouTube. I'm like at the point where I like put it on in the background while I'm making breakfast in the morning. But anyways, I digress. I have been on YouTube tangents a lot lately. And if you were to kind of dive down a YouTube rabbit hole on routines, you could probably find dozens of different routines that so-and-so person says you should incorporate in your life because it'll make XYZ big impact. I think it's really, really easy for our lives to get overrun by the perfect routine for this and the perfect routine for that. So what I'm kind of boiling it down to today is 3 routines that I think are the most important routines for us to have, especially if you are somebody who is a very go-getting high achiever. You have a tendency to fill your schedule with all of the things to the brim. You tend to lose yourself in your projects. These are the 3 routines that I highly, highly recommend you incorporate into your life. So let's dive in. Routine number 1 is your morning routine. I have been a massive advocate, proponent, whatever you want to call it, for morning routines since I started dabbling in coaching and personal and professional development back in like 2014, I think it was. And honestly, even since I've focused my energy and efforts on burnout, I think that's even more true, because I think everyone, particularly those of us who are high achievers, all the things that I just mentioned ago, tend to lose yourself in projects, tend to fill your schedule to the brim, and no judgment, because I literally spent 4 hours last night unintentionally building a Notion template that I was playing around with. So no judgment. But I think people who are particularly like that, we need a solid morning routine. And the reason why we need a solid morning routine is to make sure we are making space and making time for ourselves, and importantly for our self-care. My morning routine is perhaps the most important time of my day, to the point that in like past relationships, I would literally tell my like now ex-boyfriend to stay out of my living room so that I could get in my morning routine time. And when that time doesn't happen, or it gets cut short, or it gets interrupted, I feel the difference in my day. I feel the impact it has on my energy, on my motivation, on my focus, on my clarity. I feel the impact when I don't get that time in the morning to do the self-care activities that are really, really important to me. And a big reason why I think that time is so important is because for most of us, as soon as we get past that morning time, our day starts to get overrun by responsibilities, obligations, tasks, what have you, that we are doing for other people, whether those other people are our friends, our family, our coworkers, our bosses, our clients, even our friends. that's okay. And that's completely normal. But I think it's important for us to ask the question, what time do I have for myself? What time am I actually pouring back into me? And I find that the best time for that is the morning routine, especially for me. My morning routine is when I get the vast majority of my self-care activities in. I meditate in the morning. I read in the morning. I journal in the morning. I often, though not so much at the start of this new year, get my workouts in the morning. I'm kind of been very loosey-goosey about my workouts recently because I do find benefit at the end of a stressful day to get in my workout because you can resolve your stress cycle with exercise and physical movement. Fun fact. But I get the vast majority of my self-care in during that morning time. And the big reason why I focus on getting it in that time is because that time is guarded. That time is protected from other people. Like literally, I have kicked the ex-boyfriend out of the room when it was the morning. Maybe that's why he's my ex now. I know somebody will probably say it in the comments. But I also just don't pick up my phone in the morning. I don't start checking messages. I haven't checked into email yet or DMs or, the messages in my community. I haven't checked into any of that yet. So my time can be more focused on me. And that's kind of how it should be. So that's routine number 1. And if you don't have a solid morning routine and you want some tips for how to start building one to get those self-care activities in, drop some comments below. Let me know. I could potentially create some content for my, best practices and things that have worked for me when it comes to building my morning routines. Because this is something I have had in my life and in my kind of stress management, productivity, whatever repertoire for like almost a decade now. So if that's something you want more information about, drop a comment below. And because I always forget to say it until the end of the video, if you're liking what you're hearing, don't forget to like and subscribe as well. So let's dive into our next routine. The next big routine I think we need as high achievers, people who are go-getters, whose lives are really full, is a work routine. And when I say work routine, what I mean is we need a routine to start our workday. Because frankly, what do most of us do? We sit down, butts in chair at our desk to start our day, and we kind of immediately expect ourselves to be able to like flip this mental switch in our brains and start being massively focused like as soon as your butt hits the chair. Like I literally know this to my core, and I still do this all the time. Like I still get frustrated with myself sometimes for the fact that when I sit down, I am not starting my tasks immediately because I don't know about you. I think sometimes we think we're the exception to the rule, but no matter what I've done, no matter how many times I think that I'm different, I'm not. We cannot just switch gears like that. We need to sort of warm up, if you will, for our workday, kind of in the same way you might need to warm up before you play a sport or before you start working out. We need to warm up for our workday. And this serves the purpose of getting us focused and helping us to mentally switch gears so that we can eventually switch into focus mode, because you can't light switch into focus mode. It's almost more like a dimmer switch. You have to kind of like turn it up. And same way with our brains in the morning when we start working. So what this sort of work routine might look like, I'll kind of give you a little run through of what I do. I will, do my meditation, do my journaling, do all of that. And then what I do is I will take a look at my task list and I immediately start prioritizing activities. But I'm not just prioritizing activities. I actually have a priority in my Notion setup that's called quick. And basically the idea of it is to give myself some quick wins that I can do first that are easy, that are going to give me a little dopamine hit and really get that motivation going in the morning. Then what I will do from there is I check my email, see if there are any fires that need to be put out, which frankly, since I stopped being a manager, there are like 90% of the time, no fires. So that's a win. Probably a good life decision. Definitely a good life decision to step down from being a manager. So that's the idea behind the work routine. It's just give yourself that little bit of like warm up for your day. So you can give yourself some quick wins, some things to get your kind of creative juices and motivation going in the morning before you dive into your work. My third and final routine that I think is so important is a sleep routine. In the same way we have to warm up for our workday, we have to wind down for sleep. Our sleep routine needs to be a wind down from our day. If there's anything I think you should take from this video today, it's the fact that we're not capable of switching gears mentally in the way that so many of us think we can. Like, we cannot get into focus mode at the drop of the hat, and we cannot get into sleep mode at the drop of the hat. It just doesn't work like that. We have to give ourselves some routines to kind of wind into and slowly move into the state that we want to be in. I will admit this sleep routine is one that I suck at, and something that frankly a lot of us as high achievers suck at. We kind of expect ourselves to switch from like watching the season finale of House of the Dragon, which was a doozy, to immediately being like, all right, I'm ready to go to sleep. And it just doesn't work like that. Like, that is just not how it works. Instead, we need to wind down. And there's a lot of tips and whatnot out there that tells you exactly how to do this. Get off your devices an hour before you go to bed, which is hard and arguably impractical depending upon the kind of work you do, but that's very common advice. Keep your bed for sleeping, read on your couch instead of in your bed before you go to bed. That's another one I've heard. Do a sort of end of day brain dump. Use technology to help wind you down. And fun fact, I actually just got a new alarm clock, which is called a Hatch Restore. It is a sound machine and an alarm clock and kind of has sleep routines built into it. I'm loving it. I will probably share more about it later, but literally has like a preset lighting and sleep routine that I turn on to help me wind down for sleep. So if you're interested in me reporting back on that, drop a comment below because I probably will. But like, these are all things that we can do. Like, hell, the simple act of getting ready for bed, whatever that entails for you, like washing your face, brushing your teeth, yada, yada, yada. All of those are a sleep routine. And I wish I could tell you what the best sleep routine is, but I honestly don't believe there is one. Just like there's not the best morning routine, just like there's not the best work routine. The fact of the matter is, the best version of any of these routines is the one that you will actually do. The one that actually works for you and that you will actually show up and do consistently. Like, I have started journaling so much more by journaling in Notion, and yet there's so many gurus out there that will tell you you can't journal by typing, you need to be pen to paper. That's worked for me in the past. It's not working for me right now. So I'm journaling in Notion. Same thing with these routines. Doesn't matter what a guru tells you, doesn't matter what I tell you. It's about what works for you and what you can do consistently. So if you do a brain dump, but you do it on your iPad while sitting in your bed, whatever. If it works for you, it works for you. And yes, that is a real example of something that I've tried and done and have been doing recently. So the idea here, just like the idea with the work routine, is to give yourself some space to kind of switch into that mode. Give yourself some space to wind down, because most of us will not be able to immediately switch off like that. Except if you're one of those people who can magically fall asleep anywhere, any time of day. Honestly, if you are, I hate you and I'm not talking to you and I don't want to hear about your sleeping superpower, okay? Okay, so those are my 3 go-to most important routines, particularly for those of us who are high achievers. And I highly recommend incorporating these into your life if you don't already have them. So with that, that is all I've got for you today. I would love to hear what you thought about these tips, these routines. Do you have them? Did I miss one that you absolutely love? Go ahead and drop a comment down below. And with that, if you liked what you heard today, go ahead and drop comments, like, subscribe, whatever. I've been really, really enjoying growing this community. I actually broke 100 subscribers recently, so thank you to all of you for that. And with that, I will talk to you all next time. Bye.